Dear Steam Deck dock makers, there's a very important thing I have to tell you. It's something that's been eating at me for quite some time now. That is the Steam Deck dock. That is, your Steam Deck docks in particular. I've gotten quite a few requests from dock makers requesting that I check out their Steam Deck docks. For those of you tuning into my channel for the first time, I've done quite a few dock reviews. I've reviewed plenty of Steam Deck docks. I've reviewed the official Valve Steam Deck dock. I've also reviewed a couple of JSOX's docks as well, back when they were the first ones to bring a dock to market. Here's my thing with docks from different companies. See, a lot of these new docks don't really bring anything new to the table. These other docks don't really even look that different from JSOX's own docks. They probably don't function that differently either. I really can't be bothered to test out yet another Steam Deck dock that has 2 to 3 USB 3.0 ports, Gigabit Ethernet port, an HDMI port, maybe a display port, and a USB Type-C port, all in the back. I really cannot be bothered to test out yet another dock that looks and performs the same as any other dock I've used. I had this grand plan of testing out every single dock on a monitor as well as a TV to see which one is the best, but I came to the realization that outside of, say, Valve's own dock or JSOX's M.2 dock, all of these docks are practically identical, so I ultimately scrapped that video because ultimately it really doesn't matter what dock you want unless you want a dock with an M.2 slot, or you want an official Valve dock, which does have added features like being able to update directly from the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck dock market has truly stagnated, not just in terms of how they function, but also how they look too. It's one thing if everyone just has the same ports and whatnot, because at the very least it functions. It's another thing when all of these docks look practically identical, like if I put one dock next to another, I probably couldn't tell you which one's which. Where are the innovative features? Where is the excitement? Where is just a different looking dock? Where is all of this? Surely I'm not the only content creator that thinks this, right?
Nope, you're definitely not alone.
Who's there?
Hey, I'm Cryobite33, but you might know me as the YouTuber who made Cryo Utilities and does all those deep dives on different games.
Ah yes, welcome Cryobite. I'm glad you could join me today on this collaboration.
I think that we can all agree that dock manufacturers have gotten very lazy in general, with the same exact designs recirculating and very little innovation being done, despite the versatility of the 10 gigabit USB port present on the deck. So here are 10 things that we think could be improved or implemented with new docks.
The first thing I'd like to see is just a different design. I get it, there's only so many dock designs that are actually practical and usable, but the dock market is basically 1 or 2 dock designs with a different logo slapped on each one. It's not a bad thing, but it gets kind of boring to look at really. I just want something a little different to look at when I'm reviewing docks, you know? How about a different color? How about RGB? How about some crazy design that's never been unveiled before?
While the vast majority, if not all, docks have an HDMI port, I haven't seen a single one with HDMI CEC. This means that despite having the physical port, the dock itself doesn't really communicate with the display. If HDMI CEC were implemented, then you could turn the deck into a centerpiece in your TV setup, with the ability to set volume and inputs right on the deck, potentially even scripting some really cool automations.
What I'd really like to see is front I/O. As it stands currently, literally every current dock design has all of the ports on the back or on the side towards the back. I understand the need for some connectivity to be in the back, but let's say I wanted to plug in some wired controllers into a Steam Deck while docked. Front I/O would make this super convenient. This would also greatly benefit some setups. Namely, some tournaments, especially the fighting game tournament scene. It would not only be easier, but also better to just plug and unplug everything from the front I/O instead of having to reach in the back and worry about accidentally plugging out like the HDMI port or whatever. Moving some of the USB ports from the back to the front may not be preferable for everyone, but thankfully we have multiple different docks where all the I/O is in the back anyways.
The official dock has DisplayPort with VRR support promised in an upcoming update, but no other docks seem to be capitalizing on this. More docks should be implementing support for VRR as it grants a huge boost to playability at higher resolutions.
I also want different connectivity options with different docks. As it stands, about 90% of all docks have the same ports and same connectivity types, give or take. But if you look at the non-specific USB Type-C hubs, you see that some of them have different connectivity options. Some have micro SD and regular SD card slots, as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack. Some have multiple HDMI ports or multiple USB USB Type-C ports. Some even have VGA ports, and some have M.2 slots. The most unique dock that currently exists out there for the Steam Deck is the JSOC's M.2 one, by virtue of that having an M.2 slot. But I personally think more companies can do more. More.
Back to variable refresh rates, no manufacturers have attempted VRR over HDMI. While I'm aware that HDMI over USB-C doesn't officially support VRR, I believe that it could be done by tapping into DisplayPort's alt mode and then converting to HDMI on the dock itself. Why is this a big deal? Variable refresh rates are now becoming a major feature on new TVs, but primarily over HDMI. With VRR over HDMI, the Steam Deck could push 4K much more enjoyably and allow for a greater range of games to be played at higher resolutions in general.
I think more docks should have more USB Type-C ports. Most, if not all, docks have exactly one USB Type-C port, which is reserved for power. I just want docks with more USB Type-C ports. This is more for future-proofing stuff because I am a firm believer of USB Type-C'ing everything. Some may say this isn't very useful, but literally every single dock has multiple typical USB Type-A ports. It's not like adding the USB Type-A is going to make all of these other docks disappear. USB-C is also just a better connector than any other type of USB, you know?
I'd like to see more innovative deck holding concepts. I've seen a 3D printed dock that holds the deck upside down and allows you to click it in like a switch. Docks actually implementing this could be awesome, completely foregoing the need for the loose cable and making the deck easily slip in and out whenever you need it. It could also allow docks to build in a fan that siphons from the exhaust, similar to the JSOC's modular version, but with a larger, constantly powered fan.
Many docks were made with just one size in mind, the Steam Deck, with no case on it whatsoever. Nowadays, however, you have so many Steam Deck cases out there, such as the D-brand Project Killswitch, or JSOC's mod case. Many of the generic dock designs out there don't really fit Steam Decks with these cases on. My proposed solution would be to allow the dock to be adjustable. You can adjust how big the opening is for all of the Steam Decks with various different types of cases.
And lastly, a removable USB-C cable. The deck itself is designed to be as modular and user serviceable as possible, so why aren't docks the same? Having a removable cable would allow a dock to pack up smaller, avoid unnecessary e-waste in the event of a breakage, and even allow for aftermarket modifications that would otherwise need a USB-C extension cable.
And that about covers it for things we want in future docks. We've discussed docks at length and we agree, docks have kind of stagnated.
Thank you so much for having me, it was great to be here.
And thank you for partaking in this high-tech lowlife video, Cryobite. I hope we can collaborate in future videos. If you liked this video, you should give it a thumbs up and spread the good gospel of high-tech lowlife. And if you want to see more high-tech lowlife, be sure to enable notifications and press the subscribe button. Furthermore, we have a community Discord server for enlightened individuals such as you. And in case you wanted to directly support high-tech lowlife, you can join our Patreon page.